Pack your desk. Security will escort you out in 10 minutes. Richard Sterling didn't even look up from his laptop as he delivered the words that would shatter Lily Chun's world. She stood in the doorway of his corner office on the 42nd floor of Sterling Global Solutions, one hand instinctively moving to her swollen belly, the other gripping the quarterly report she'd spent 3 sleepless nights perfecting. 8 months pregnant, and her boss had just fired her with less emotion than he'd used to order coffee. "I'm sorry, what?" Lily's voice came out smaller than she intended. "You heard me." Richard finally glanced up, his cold gray eyes sweeping over her with barely concealed disgust. "Your position has been eliminated. We're restructuring the department." Lily's name was Lily Chen, and 30 seconds ago, she'd been the senior marketing director at one of Manhattan's most prestigious consulting firms. She was 29 years old, Princeton educated, and had single-handedly secured the Ashford Industries account that brought in $12 million last quarter. She'd worked 70-hour weeks, sacrificed weekends, postponed her personal life until she'd built something solid, something that couldn't be taken away. Or so she'd thought. Restructuring? Her mind raced. "Richard, I just landed the Morrison deal yesterday. The contracts are ready for your signature. We're looking at $15 million in revenue, which is why Veronica will be taking over your accounts." He smiled, and there was something cruel in it. Effective immediately, the door behind Lily opened, and she turned to see Veronica Chase glide into the office like she owned it. Designer heels clicking on marble, a fitted black dress that screamed expensive, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Veronica was Richard's executive assistant, though everyone on the 42nd floor knew that title was just corporate camouflage for what she really was. "Lily." Veronica's voice dripped with fake sympathy. "This must be so difficult for you. But don't worry, your clients will be in excellent hands." Something clicked in Lily's mind. The late-night strategy meetings between Richard and Veronica. The way he'd started questioning every decision Lily made over the past month. The sudden concerns about her commitment once her pregnancy started showing. The whispered conversations that stopped when she entered the conference room. This wasn't about restructuring. This was about replacement. "You can't do this." Lily's voice was steady now, anger burning through the shock. "I have a contract. I have rights. You can't fire a pregnant woman and pretend it's restructuring." Richard stood, buttoning his suit jacket with practiced ease. "Actually, I can. Your contract has a performance clause, and your recent work has been, shall we say, substandard. The Morrison deal, you missed 3 critical deadlines. The Ashford presentation, riddled with errors. That's not true, and you know it. I have documentation." He gestured to a folder on his desk, thick with papers that Lily had never seen before. "Signed complaints from team members about your declining performance. Missed meetings. Incomplete reports. It's all here." Lily felt her baby kick hard against her ribs, as if sensing her distress. She'd suspected something was wrong for weeks now. Small things at first. Files disappearing from her computer. Emails she never sent showing up in her sent folder with errors. Meetings scheduled without her knowledge, then marked as missed on her record. But she'd been so tired, so focused on finishing her projects before maternity leave, that she'd convinced herself she was being paranoid. Pregnancy brain, everyone called it. Now she understood. They'd been building a case against her. Meticulously. Deliberately. "This is fraud." Lily stepped closer to his desk. "Those documents are fabricated, and we both know it. Prove it." Richard's smile widened. "But I'd advise against trying. Sterling Global has an entire legal department. You're about to be unemployed with a baby on the way. Can you really afford a legal battle you won't win?" Veronica moved to stand beside Richard, her hand resting possessively on his shoulder. The gesture was subtle but deliberate. A silent declaration of victory. "The severance package is actually quite generous," Veronica said, picking up an envelope from Richard's desk. 2 weeks' pay and continuation of your health insurance through the end of the month. Richard insisted on that. He's really very kind. 2 weeks' pay. For 6 years of loyalty. For the deals that had built half of Richard's reputation. For the weekends and holidays and nights she'd sacrificed while he took credit for her ideas. You planned this. Lily looked between them. How long? How long have you been planning to replace me? Richard walked around his desk, standing close enough that Lily could smell his expensive cologne. Let me give you some advice, Lily. You're a smart woman, but you made a critical mistake. You got pregnant. In this industry, that makes you a liability. Clients don't want to deal with someone who's going to be unavailable, distracted. They want consistency. I was taking 12 weeks of maternity leave, not retiring. 12 weeks where Veronica would be managing your relationships, learning your systems, proving herself. Richard shrugged. By the time you came back, they'd already have moved on. You'd be redundant. This way is cleaner. Cleaner. Lily repeated the word, tasting its bitterness. You mean cheaper. You don't have to pay maternity leave if you fire me first. See? Yeah. Have to pay maternity leave if you fire me first. See? Smart woman. Richard checked his watch. Security will be here in 5 minutes. I suggest you start packing. Lily wanted to scream. To throw his laptop through his floor-to-ceiling windows. To tell him exactly what she thought of his designer suits and his fake smile and his complete absence of human decency. But she was 8 months pregnant, exhausted, and suddenly terrified. Because Richard was right about one thing, she couldn't afford a legal battle. Her savings were modest. Her insurance was through the company. And in 3 weeks, she was supposed to give birth. I hope you're proud of yourselves, Lily said quietly, walking toward the door. Oh, Lily? Veronica's voice stopped her. One more thing. Your office? I'm redecorating it this afternoon. Sky blue, I think. It'll be perfect. Lily turned slowly. Veronica was holding up paint swatches, her smile pure malice. And that's when Lily realized this wasn't just about business, this was personal. Veronica hadn't just helped Richard destroy Lily's career. She'd enjoyed it. Lily walked back to her office, her mind numb. 2 security guards were already waiting, watching her pack her personal items into a cardboard box with the Sterling Global logo mocking her from its side. 6 years of work reduced to a box of photographs in a dying succulent plant. As she walked past the cubicles toward the elevator, her former colleagues looked away. Some whispered. Others pretended to be absorbed in their screens. No one met her eyes, they'd all known. They'd all seen this coming, and no one had warned her. The elevator doors closed, and Lily caught her reflection in the polished steel. 8 months pregnant, carrying a box of office supplies, her career in ruins. She looked like every cautionary tale women whispered about in corporate bathrooms. But what Richard and Veronica didn't know, what they couldn't possibly know as they celebrated their victory on the 42nd floor, was that Lily Chen had survived worse than this. She'd survived growing up poor in a neighborhood where girls like her weren't supposed to make it to Princeton. She'd survived being the only woman in boardrooms full of men who thought her ideas were worth stealing but not promoting. She'd survived every attempt to make her smaller, quieter, less. And she would survive this too. As the elevator descended, Lily placed one hand on her belly and made a silent promise to the baby growing inside her. Mommy's going to show them what a liability really looks like. She had no idea how. No plan. No resources. Just rage and determination and the absolute certainty that Richard Sterling had made the biggest mistake of his life. If you're wondering whether Lily found a way to destroy the people who destroyed her, whether karma finally caught up to Richard and Veronica, you'll want to see how this story unfolds. 5 years can change everything. Especially when the woman you underestimated refuses to stay down. The cardboard box felt heavier with each step toward the subway. Lily stood on the corner of Park Avenue and 53rd Street, watching the suited professionals rush past her like water around a stone. Nobody looked at pregnant women carrying boxes. They knew what it meant. Her phone buzzed. A text from her landlord. Rent is due Friday. No exceptions this month. Friday was 3 days away. Her bank account had $4,200. Rent was $2,800. That left $1,400 for food, utilities, baby supplies, and whatever medical expenses her soon-to-be terminated insurance wouldn't cover. The math was simple and terrifying. Lily made it to her studio apartment in Queens just as the afternoon rain started. The space was tiny, barely 400 square feet. But it had been hers, a place she'd earned. Now it felt like a trap closing in. She set the box down and pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts. Who could she call? Her parents had passed away in a car accident her sophomore year at Princeton. No siblings. Her college friends had scattered across the country, building careers in cities she couldn't afford to visit. There was Marcus, her baby's father, ex-boyfriend. The relationship had ended badly 6 months ago when he'd made it clear that fatherhood wasn't part of his 5-year plan. He'd offered to pay for an abortion and disappeared when she'd refused. She could call Richard's HR department, file a complaint. But Richard had been right about one thing. Sterling Global's legal team was legendary. They'd bury her in paperwork while her savings evaporated. No, she needed to think strategically. Lily opened her laptop and started documenting everything. Dates, emails, conversations. Every late-night meeting where Richard had stolen her ideas. Every client she'd brought in. Every piece of evidence that her firing was retaliation, not performance-based. Her hands shook as she typed, not from fear. From fury. 3 weeks later, Lily went into labor at 2 a.m. in her studio apartment. Alone. The contractions came fast and brutal, and by the time the ambulance arrived, she was convinced she wouldn't survive the night. But she did. She survived, and at 6:47 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday morning, she gave birth to a 7-pound baby girl with a full head of dark hair and lungs that could wake the dead. Her name? The nurse asked, holding the birth certificate. Emma. Lily touched her daughter's tiny fingers. Emma Chen. The hospital social worker visited that afternoon, clipboard in hand, sympathy in her eyes. Miss Chen, I see here that you're uninsured and unemployed. We have programs that can help. I don't need charity. The words came out harsher than Lily intended. I'll figure it out. But figuring it out meant going back to her apartment 4 days later with a newborn. No income, and a hospital bill for $18,000. The first month was survival. Lily applied for unemployment. She sold her furniture. She ate ramen and peanut butter while her body recovered and Emma screamed through the nights. She applied to 73 jobs and got 5 interviews. None of them went well. You have an impressive resume, the hiring managers would say. But there's a gap here. 3 months. Can you explain? What could she say? That she'd been fired while pregnant. That she'd given birth and was now a single mother. Every honest answer was a reason not to hire her. Meanwhile, Richard Sterling was thriving. Lily discovered this one sleepless night while scrolling through LinkedIn, Emma nursing against her chest. Richard had been promoted to executive vice president. His photo showed him at some gala, Veronica on his arm in a red dress that probably cost more than Lily's monthly rent used to be. The company announcement praised his innovative leadership and record-breaking quarter. The Morrison deal, Lily's deal, had closed for $22 million. Richard took full credit. Veronica had been promoted to director of marketing. She'd taken over Lily's job, Lily's office, Lily's clients, and apparently Lily's future. The comments section was full of congratulations. Well deserved. Brilliant leader. The dream team. Lily wanted to scream into the void of social media. To tell everyone what Richard really was. But who would believe her? An unemployed single mother versus Manhattan's newest power couple? She closed the laptop and looked down at Emma, who'd fallen asleep mid-feeding. Her daughter's face was peaceful, trusting. She had no idea her mother was failing her. I'm sorry, baby, Lily whispered. I'm so sorry. But the next morning, something shifted. Lily was changing Emma's diaper when she noticed the acceptance letter that had arrived 2 days ago, still unopened on her counter. She'd applied to a coding boot camp months before getting fired back when she'd been thinking about expanding her skill set, making herself more valuable. She'd forgotten all about it. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Full scholarship. 12 weeks intensive. Job placement program with a 94% success rate. The program started in 2 weeks. Lily looked at Emma. 12 weeks meant finding childcare she couldn't afford. It meant long days and longer nights. It meant pushing herself when she was already broken. but it also meant a future. She picked up her phone and called the one person from her old life who might still take her call. Diana Wu had been her colleague at Sterling Global before leaving to start her own consulting firm 3 years ago. Lily Chen. Diana's voice was surprised but warm. I heard what happened. Richard's an asshole. I need help. Lily hated how weak she sounded. I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy. That what he did was illegal. It was absolutely illegal. But proving it, that's the hard part. I documented everything. Good. Keep doing that. Because men like Richard, they get sloppy when they think they've won. Diana offered Lily freelance work, small projects, enough to keep the lights on. She also connected Lily with a lawyer who worked pro bono for employment discrimination cases. The lawyer reviewed Lily's documentation and nodded slowly. You have a case. But it'll take time. Years, maybe. And Sterling Global will fight dirty. Let them fight, Lily said. I'm not going anywhere. She enrolled in the coding boot camp. Found a neighbor who watched Emma for cheap. Studied while her daughter slept. Lived on 4 hours of sleep and pure spite. The boot camp instructor pulled her aside after the 3rd week. You're the fastest learner I've ever seen. What's driving you? Lily thought about Richard's smug smile. Veronica's cruel eyes. The way they'd thrown her away like garbage. Revenge, she said simply. 3 months later, Lily graduated top of her class. The job placement program connected her with a startup in Brooklyn. Junior developer. Salary was $65,000, less than half what she'd made at Sterling Global. But it was honest work, and they didn't care that she had a baby. She was good at coding. Better than good. She understood systems, patterns, how to build something from nothing. Within 6 months, she'd been promoted to senior developer. Within a year, she was lead developer. Within 2 years, she'd saved enough to move to a better apartment. To buy Emma actual toys instead of thrift store cast-offs. To breathe without constantly calculating how many days until she ran out of money. But Lily wasn't satisfied with survival. Late at night, after Emma was asleep, Lily would open her laptop and research. She tracked Richard's career trajectory. Memorized Veronica's social media posts. Studied Sterling Global's client list, their quarterly reports, their vulnerabilities. She was looking for patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. Because Lily Chen hadn't forgotten what they'd done to her. She'd just been waiting for the right moment to remind them. The tech industry moved fast. Lily moved faster. She changed jobs 3 times in 4 years. Each move strategic. Each position building her reputation as someone who could solve impossible problems. By year 5, she was director of technology at Summit Innovations, a consulting firm that competed directly with Sterling Global. She made $240,000 a year. She had a corner office. She had respect. And she had a plan. It started when Lily saw the announcement. Sterling Global was pitching for the Northridge Corporation account, a $50 million deal that would either make or break their fiscal year. The biggest pitch of Richard's career. Lily knew Northridge's CEO. She'd met him at a tech conference 2 months ago, impressed him with her insights on digital transformation. She picked up her phone and dialed. Mr. Northridge? This is Lily Chen from Summit Innovations. I heard you're considering Sterling Global for your digital overhaul. Before you sign anything, I think we should talk about what they're not telling you. The pieces were finally falling into place. Richard and Veronica had spent 5 years building their empire on the foundation of Lily's destruction. Now she was going to burn it down. James Northridge's office overlooked Central Park from the 60th floor. He was 72 years old, built his empire from a single hardware store in Brooklyn, and had a reputation for sniffing out dishonesty like a bloodhound. Ms. Chen? He gestured to the chair across from his mahogany desk. You said Sterling Global isn't telling me something. I'm listening. Lily opened her tablet, pulling up a series of documents she'd spent 3 weeks compiling. Your digital transformation project requires complete infrastructure overhaul. Sterling Global's proposal looks impressive on paper, but they're outsourcing 70% of the actual work to subcontractors in Eastern Europe. That's not unusual in this industry. It is when they're billing you for their top Talent while paying bottom-tier developers $15 an hour. Lily slid the tablet across his desk. Here's their subcontractor list.
Cross-reference it with their project timeline and cost breakdown.
The math doesn't work unless they're planning to deliver substandard work at premium prices. Northridge studied the documents, his weathered face unreadable.
How did you get this information? I have friends in low places. Lily smiled.
And high ones. Your business deserves better than smoke and mirrors. What Lily didn't mention was the source. Marcus Chang, her ex-boyfriend, and Emma's absent father. Turns out abandoning your pregnant girlfriend for a better opportunity meant taking a job at the very subcontracting firm Sterling Global used. Marcus owed her 5 years of child support and a guilty conscience. She'd called him 2 months ago. I need information on Sterling Global's overseas contracts.
Every project they've outsourced in the past 3 years.
Why would I help you? Because you owe me $47,000 in unpaid child support, and I have a lawyer who'd love to garnish your fancy new salary. Or you can send me some files and we'll call it even. The files arrived within 24 hours. Now, watching Northridge's expression darken as he read through Sterling Global's deception, Lily felt the first real spark of satisfaction she'd experienced in 5 years.
Summit Innovations can do this project properly, she continued.
In-house team.
No outsourcing. Full transparency.
And we'll deliver it for 20% less than Sterling Global's inflated quote. Northridge looked up. You really don't like them, do you? This isn't personal, Mr. Northridge. It's business. The lie came easily.
But I believe in doing business honestly.
Sterling Global doesn't. I'll consider your proposal. He stood, extending his hand. Though something tells me there's more to this story.
There always is.
Lily shook his hand firmly. I'll send over our detailed proposal by Friday. She left his office knowing she'd planted the seed.
Now she needed to water it. The next piece of her plan required getting inside Sterling Global itself. Diana Wu called her that evening. Are you insane?
You want me to what? Hire me as a consultant.
You have clearance to bring outside specialists into Sterling Global for the Northridge pitch, right?
Diana had gone back to Sterling Global a year ago as VP of Operations, a position she'd negotiated specifically because it gave her access to every department, every project, every dirty secret the company tried to hide.
Lily, if Richard sees you,
he won't recognize me.
Lily pulled out her phone, showing Diana a photo.
New hair color, lost 40 pounds. Contacts instead of glasses.
I look nothing like the pregnant woman he fired 5 years ago.
Your name. I'll use my mother's maiden name.
Lily Park, different email, different credentials.
I've been building this identity for months. Diana was quiet for a long moment.
You've really thought this through. I've had 5 years to think. What exactly are you planning?
I'm going to walk through those offices, gather evidence of every illegal thing Richard's done, and I'm going to destroy him with it. Lily's voice was steady. But I need your help. If we get caught?
We won't.
Diana, you told me 5 years ago that men like Richard get sloppy when they think they've won.
Well, he's been winning for half a decade.
It's time someone reminded him that the game isn't over. 2 weeks later, Lily Park walked into Sterling Global's 42nd floor offices wearing a navy pantsuit and carrying a designer briefcase. She'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, but nothing prepared her for the actual sensation of standing in the lobby where she'd once belonged. The receptionist barely glanced at her.
Miss Park, Miss Wu is expecting you.
Conference room B. Lily walked past her old cubicle, now occupied by some 20-something kid who didn't even look up from his computer. Past the break room where she'd once celebrated landing the Ashford account. Past Richard's corner office. The door was open. He was inside, on the phone, laughing at something. Older now. Some gray in his hair. Still wearing those expensive suits like armor. He glanced up as she walked past.
Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Nothing, no recognition.
She was invisible to him. Perfect. Diana waited in conference room B with a laptop and an anxious expression. I can't believe we're doing this. You can still back out and miss watching Richard Sterling's empire crumble? Not a chance. Diana pulled up a file directory. I've been collecting evidence for 2 years.
Ever since I came back and realized how much worse it had gotten.
He's not just stealing ideas anymore, Lily. He's committing actual fraud. Over the next 3 hours.
Diana showed Lily everything. Falsified project reports, fabricated client testimonials, inflated billing hours, contracts won through bribery. Richard had built Sterling Global's recent success on a foundation of lies so extensive it was almost impressive.
The Northridge pitch is make or break for him, Diana explained. The board's been questioning his methods. This deal would secure his position for another decade. Lose it, and they start investigating. He's going to lose it. Lily downloaded the files onto an encrypted drive. But that's just the beginning. What else are you planning? Lily pulled out a folder.
Inside were 5 years of documentation, the fabricated performance reviews from her firing,
witness statements from former Sterling Global employees who'd seen Richard's discrimination, proof that Veronica had been involved in creating the false documentation. I'm planning to make sure Richard Sterling never works in this industry again. The next morning, Lily attended the Sterling Global team meeting for the Northridge pitch. She sat in the back, taking notes, watching Richard command the room with the charisma that had once impressed her. Veronica was there too, sitting at Richard's right hand. She'd aged well. Expensive skincare and regular Botox would do that. She barely glanced at the consultants Diana had brought in. The Northridge account is ours, Richard declared. We've built a proposal that's unmatched in this industry. They'd be fools to go with anyone else. One of the junior associates raised his hand. Sir, I heard Summit Innovations is also pitching. They have a strong reputation for. Summit is a mid-tier firm playing in the major leagues. Richard's dismissal was casual, complete. They don't have our resources, our reputation, or our track record. Northridge knows quality when he sees it.
Lily bit back a smile. Richard's arrogance was going to be his downfall.
After the meeting, Lily found herself in the elevator with Veronica. Just the two of them, descending from the 42nd floor. Veronica was scrolling through her phone. Bored. Lily watched the floor numbers tick down, her heart pounding. Excuse me, Lily said softly. You dropped this. She handed Veronica a pen that had fallen from her purse. Thanks. Veronica took it without looking up. They reached the lobby. Veronica walked away, her heels clicking on marble, completely unaware that she just stood inches from the woman whose life she'd helped destroy. That evening, Lily picked up Emma from after-school care. Her daughter was 5 now, bright and curious, with Lily's determination and none of her bitterness. Mommy, why are you smiling? Emma asked as they walked home. Because today was a good day, sweetheart. Did you win something? Not yet. Lily squeezed her daughter's hand.
But I'm about to. The Northridge pitch was scheduled for Friday.
Lily had 3 days to finalize her counterproposal, ensure every piece of evidence was documented, and position herself for the moment when Richard Sterling's carefully constructed world began to collapse. She worked late into the nights, Emma asleep in the next room, building the case that would end Richard's career. Each fraudulent contract, each stolen idea, each illegal practice was cataloged, verified, ready to be deployed. Wednesday afternoon, her phone rang. James Northridge. Ms. Chun, I've reviewed both proposals. I need to see you and Richard Sterling in my office Friday morning. 9 a.m. I'm making my final decision then. I'll be there. One more thing. I did some research on you. Interesting career trajectory. Princeton graduate, 6 years at Sterling Global, sudden departure. Reinvention in tech. His voice was measured. Is there something I should know about your history with Richard Sterling? Lily had prepared for this question. There's a lot you should know about Richard Sterling, Mr. Northridge,
but I prefer to let his work speak for itself. Fair enough.
See you Friday. Lily hung up and stared at her calendar. 2 days, 48 hours until she walked into a room with Richard Sterling for the first time in 5 years. He still didn't know who she was. Still thought he'd gotten away with everything.
She pulled up her laptop and composed an email to the employment lawyer who'd been building her discrimination case.
It's time. File everything. Then she called Diana. Friday morning, Northridge's office. Richard will be there. I need you to do something for me. What? Be ready to record everything. Because Richard Sterling is about to confess to crimes he doesn't even know he's confessing to. How can you be sure he'll confess? Lily thought about the arrogance in Richard's eyes, the casual cruelty of Veronica's smile,
the absolute certainty they both carried that they were untouchable. Because powerful men always confess when they think they're winning.
They can't help themselves. Friday morning arrived cold and clear. Lily dressed carefully. A tailored black suit, her mother's pearl earrings. Confidence like armor. Emma hugged her goodbye, sensing something important was happening. Are you nervous, Mommy?
No, baby. I'm ready. At 8:55 a.m., Lily walked into Northridge Corporation's executive lobby.
Richard was already there, checking his phone, Veronica beside him in a cream-colored dress. They didn't see her approach. Lily took a breath, steadied herself, and walked past them into the conference room where James Northridge waited. The game was about to begin. And this time, Lily Chun wasn't playing to survive. She was playing to win. James Northridge sat at the head of the conference table, 2 folders in front of him. Thank you both for coming. Mr. Sterling, Miss Chen, I've reviewed your proposals thoroughly. Richard entered with Veronica, both radiating confidence. He barely glanced at Lily before taking his seat across from her. Mr. Northridge, I think you'll find our proposal, Richard began, is built on fraudulent subcontracting and inflated costs. Northridge opened the first folder. Did you think I wouldn't verify your claims? Richard's smile faltered. I'm not sure what you mean. Your proposal states that your senior development team will handle this project personally. But according to Ms. Chen's research, 70% of your actual work goes to overseas contractors. You pay a fraction of what you're billing me. That's standard industry practice. It's fraud when you explicitly claim otherwise in your pitch. Northridge's voice was ice.
But that's not even the interesting part. Miss Chen, would you like to explain? Lily opened her tablet.
Mr. Northridge asked me to audit Sterling Global's recent projects.
The Morrison account closed at $22 million 5 years ago.
The client testimonials in your proposal are fabricated. I contacted Morrison's CEO directly. They terminated their contract with you after 6 months due to undelivered promises. Richard's face reddened. That's confidential client information. That you lied about. Lily pulled up another document. The Ashford Industries account.
Your proposal claims 98% client satisfaction. Their actual feedback, which I obtained legally through public records requests,
shows 34% satisfaction and multiple breach of contract complaints. Veronica leaned forward, studying Lily's face for the first time. Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition trying to surface. Who are you? Veronica's voice was sharp. I'm the person who's going to explain to Mr. Northridge exactly who he was about to do business with. Lily turned to Northridge. Sterling Global has built its recent success on systematic fraud. Stolen intellectual property, falsified reports, bribery of procurement officers. This is slander. Richard stood abruptly. Mr. Northridge, this woman is clearly a competitor trying to sabotage. Sit down, Mr. Sterling. Northridge's tone left no room for argument. I've had my legal team verify every claim Miss Chen made. She's not slandering you. She's exposing you. Richard sat slowly, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a costume. I don't know what she told you, but she told me the truth. Something you seem incapable of. Northridge closed the folder. The Northridge account is going to Summit Innovations.
Our lawyers will be contacting you about the falsified information in your proposal. I suggest you retain excellent legal counsel.
You're making a mistake. Richard's voice shook with barely contained rage. Summit is nothing compared to what we can deliver. What you can deliver is substandard work at premium prices. Northridge stood. This meeting is over. Richard's eyes locked on Lily for the first time, really seeing her. She watched the precise moment recognition began to dawn, the tilt of her head, something in her eyes. Wait. His voice was barely a whisper. I know you. Lily smiled. Cold. Victorious. Do you, Richard? Take your time.
Think back about 5 years. Veronica gasped. her hand flying to her mouth.
Oh my God. What? Richard looked between them. What is it? It's her. Veronica's voice was strangled. Richard, it's her. It's Lily Chun. The color drained from Richard's face. He gripped the edge of the table like it was the only thing keeping him upright.
That's impossible. You left. You were nothing.
You had nothing. You're right. I had nothing. Lily stood, meeting his eyes across the table.
Because you took everything. My job. My insurance.
My income when I was 8 months pregnant.
You threw me away like I was garbage. We restructured.
Your performance was perfect, and you know it. You fabricated those reviews. You manufactured evidence to justify firing a pregnant woman so you could replace her with your mistress. Lily pulled out another folder, sliding it across to Northridge. Speaking of which, here's documentation of your affair with Miss Chase starting 6 months before my termination.
Emails discussing your plan to remove me. Text messages about how to build a case against me. All time-stamped and verified.
Veronica went pale.
You can't prove.
I can prove everything. Lily's voice was steady, calm.
5 years ago, you thought you destroyed me.
You thought I'd disappear into poverty and desperation with a newborn baby. That I'd be too broken, too scared, too poor to fight back.
We gave you severance.
Richard started. 2 weeks' pay for 6 years of loyalty. Lily's composure cracked for just a moment. I built half your reputation. The Morrison deal was mine. Ashford was mine. Every major client you took credit for was my work. And when I got pregnant, you saw an opportunity to steal it all and discard me. You don't understand the pressure of running a company. I understand perfectly. You're a thief and a coward who destroys people when they become inconvenient. Lily pulled out her phone. Diana, come in now. The conference room door opened. Diana Wu entered, tablet in hand, looking directly at Richard. Hello, Richard. Surprise. Diana? You're part of this? I've been documenting your fraud for 2 years. Every falsified report, every stolen idea, every illegal practice.
Diana set her tablet on the table. Did you know I have access to all your emails? All your files?
Everything you thought was private? Richard lunged for the tablet, but Northridge's security guard stepped forward, blocking him. You can't use internal communications. Veronica started. Actually, we can. Lily interrupted.
Because they're evidence of criminal activity. Fraud. Bribery. Contract manipulation.
Wrongful termination with discriminatory intent.
My employment lawyer filed charges this morning with the New York State Attorney General's office. This is extortion.
Richard's voice rose. You're trying to blackmail. I'm trying to get justice. Lily's voice cut through his panic like a blade.
5 years ago, I sat in your office, 8 months pregnant, and you looked at me like I was worthless.
Do you remember what you said? Richard said nothing, his jaw clenched.
You said I made a critical mistake getting pregnant. That I was a liability.
That clients wanted consistency, not someone who'd be unavailable and distracted. Lily stepped closer.
Do you want to know what happened after you fired me?
I don't.
I went into labor alone in a studio apartment I could barely afford.
I gave birth to my daughter terrified I wouldn't survive, wouldn't be able to provide for her. I sold everything I owned. I ate ramen for months. I applied to 73 jobs and got rejected because of the gap in my resume that you created. Veronica looked away, but Lily continued, relentless. I taught myself to code while my newborn screamed through the nights. I rebuilt my entire career from nothing. And every single day, I remembered your face. Your cruelty. Your absolute certainty that you'd won. What do you want? Richard's voice was defeated now. Money? I'll pay you whatever. I don't want your money. Lily pulled out the final document. I want you to sign this.
What is it? A confession.
Admitting to wrongful termination,
Fraud, and conspiracy to commit employment discrimination. Admitting that you fabricated performance reviews.
That you colluded with Miss Chase to destroy my career while pregnant. I'll never sign that. Then you'll go to trial. Criminal trial, not just civil. Diana pulled up footage on her tablet. Because I have this.
The video showed Richard and Veronica in his office 6 years ago, the day before Lily was fired. Richard's voice was clear. She's a liability now. We need her gone before the baby comes. That way we don't pay maternity leave. And Veronica can take over her accounts permanently. Veronica's response: what about the pregnancy discrimination laws? We'll build a performance case. Fabricate some complaints.
Make it look legitimate.
The video continued, showing them planning every detail of Lily's destruction. Richard stared at the screen, his world collapsing in real time. Where did you get that? Your office has security cameras, Richard. Did you forget? Diana's had access to the archive footage for years. Lily smiled.
You got sloppy. Just like she said you would. This is entrapment. It's evidence. Northridge's voice was disgusted.
Mr. Sterling, Miss Chase, I suggest you sign whatever Miss Chen is asking for. Because if this goes to trial, you won't just lose your company. You'll lose everything. If you've ever wondered whether karma is real, whether people who destroy others for profit ever face consequences, stick around. Because what happens next will restore your faith that the universe doesn't let cruelty go unanswered forever. Richard's hands shook as he reached for the pen. If I sign this, what happens?
You resign from Sterling Global effective immediately.
You return all compensation from the Morrison and Ashford deals to the company. You pay me $500,000 in damages, exactly what I lost in income and opportunities over 5 years. And you never work in this industry again. That's my entire life. You took mine. Lily's voice was granite. The difference is, I rebuilt. You won't. Richard signed. His signature was a scrawl, barely legible. The pen of a man watching his empire crumble. Veronica refused. I'm not signing anything. This is coercion. Then enjoy your criminal trial. Diana pulled up another file. I also have evidence of you stealing proprietary information from 3 previous employers. Industrial espionage carries serious prison time. Veronica's hand trembled as she took the pen. When both signatures were complete, Lily gathered the documents carefully. Mr. Northridge, thank you for your time. Summit Innovations will begin your project next month. Ms. Chen, Northridge extended his hand. I admire your patience. And your precision. As Lily walked toward the door, Richard's voice stopped her. Was any of it real? Did you ever actually respect me? Lily turned slowly. I respected who I thought you were. Before I realized you were just a mediocre man who built success by stealing from people more talented than you. I gave you opportunities. You stole my work and threw me away when I became inconvenient. There's a difference. She walked out of Northridge Corporation into the bright morning sunlight. Diana was waiting by the elevator. How do you feel? Diana asked. Ask me in 5 years. Lily smiled. But right now? I feel like I can finally breathe. The news broke within 48 hours. Sterling Global's senior leadership resigns amid fraud scandal. Read the Wall Street Journal headline. Bloomberg went deeper. Executive confesses to pregnancy discrimination. Document falsification. The business world loved a good downfall, and Richard Sterling's was spectacular. Sterling Global's board launched an immediate internal investigation. What they found was worse than anyone imagined. Years of fabricated reports. Bribed procurement officers. Stolen intellectual property from at least 12 former employees. Richard had built his empire on other people's talent and systematic fraud. The lawsuits came fast. Former clients, former employees. Regulatory agencies. Within 3 months, Sterling Global declared bankruptcy. Veronica faced criminal charges for industrial espionage. The evidence Diana had compiled showed she'd stolen proprietary algorithms from her previous employer and sold them to Sterling Global. She pled guilty to avoid trial, accepting a sentence of 18 months in federal prison and a permanent ban from working in corporate America. Richard lost everything. The Manhattan penthouse went to creditors. The sports cars were seized. His professional reputation was destroyed so thoroughly that even LinkedIn deleted his profile for violating terms of service. But Lily wasn't finished. 6 months after the Northridge meeting, she stood in Summit Innovations' boardroom as the company's newly appointed Chief Technology Officer. At 34 years old, she was the youngest C-suite executive in the firm's history, with a salary of $380,000 and equity that would be worth millions when the company went public next year. The same industry that had rejected her applications 5 years ago now called her a visionary. Emma was thriving too. First grade at an excellent school, violin lessons on Saturdays, a bedroom filled with books instead of hand-me-down toys. She was bright, confident, completely unaware that her mother had once been so poor they'd eaten cereal for dinner 3 nights straight. Lily made sure Emma would never know that poverty, that fear, that powerlessness. One rainy Tuesday evening, Lily was leaving her office when security called up. "Miss Chan, there's someone here to see you." "He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent." "A Richard Sterling?" Lily's hand tightened on her briefcase. "Send him up." She waited in her office, watching the rain streak down the floor-to-ceiling windows. 5 years ago, she carried a cardboard box out of Sterling Global in shame. Now she stood in an office twice the size of the one Richard had taken from her. The irony was almost poetic. Richard looked like he'd aged a decade. Cheap suit, scuffed shoes. The gray in his hair had spread, and his face carried the weight of a man who'd lost everything that mattered to him. "Lily." His voice cracked on her name. "Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes. He stepped into her office, taking in the Manhattan skyline view, the awards on her wall, the framed photo of Emma on her desk. "You've done well. I rebuilt what you tried to destroy. Why are you here, Richard?" "I need help." The words came out strangled. "I can't find work. No one will hire me. My wife left. I'm living in a studio apartment in Jersey City. I'm drowning in legal fees and debt. I thought maybe you could what? Give you a job." Lily's laugh was bitter. "You're joking. I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did was unforgivable." Richard took a step closer. "But I'm desperate. I have nothing. And you've made it. You won. Can't you find it in yourself to have mercy?" "Mercy." Lily repeated the word slowly. "Did you show me mercy when I was 8 months pregnant, and you threw me out with 2 weeks severance? When I went into labor alone, when I didn't know how I'd feed my daughter? I was wrong. God, Lily, I was so wrong." His voice broke. "I've lost everything. My reputation, my career, my marriage. I wake up every day knowing I destroyed my life by destroying yours." "Good. You should wake up knowing that. Please." And then, impossibly, Richard Sterling dropped to his knees in front of her. The man who'd once stood over her desk firing her was now on the floor, hands clasped, begging. "I'll do anything. Consultant work. Entry-level coding. I don't care. I just need a chance. One chance to prove I've changed." Lily looked down at him. This broken man who'd once wielded power over her life like a weapon. She felt no satisfaction, no triumph. Just a hollow recognition that revenge, even justified, didn't fill the emptiness that cruelty created. "Stand up, Richard." He struggled to his feet, hope flickering in his eyes. "I'm not going to help you," Lily said quietly. "Not because I'm cruel, but because you need to understand something. I didn't succeed despite what you did to me. I succeeded because of it. You forced me to become stronger, smarter, more resilient than I ever would have been if you'd treated me fairly. I know I made you stronger. No, you don't get credit for that." Lily's voice hardened. "Abusers don't get to claim their victim's strength as proof their abuse had purpose. I became strong in spite of you, not because of you. Not because of you. And the person I am now would never hire someone with your history of fraud and discrimination. So that's it? You're just going to let me fail? You failed yourself the moment you chose cruelty over character." Lily walked to her office door, opening it. "I'm not letting you fail, Richard. You already did that. I'm just refusing to save you from the consequences of your own choices. After everything I've lost, you can't find any forgiveness?" Lily thought about her daughter, about the nights she'd cried herself to sleep wondering how she'd survive, about the strength it took to rebuild from nothing. Forgiveness isn't something you get to demand from the people you've hurt. It's something they give if and when they're ready. She met his eyes. "I'm not ready." I may never be ready. And that's not my failure, Richard. It's yours. Richard stood in her doorway for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I hope someday you find peace. I already have peace. I have a daughter I love, a career I'm proud of, and a future I built with my own hands. You're the one still searching for something you'll never find. She watched him walk away, shoulders slumped, defeated.
The security guard escorted him to the elevator. Diana appeared in her doorway minutes later.
I heard Richard Sterling was here.
Please tell me you didn't actually help him. I told him the truth.
That redemption isn't something you can beg for from the people you've destroyed. It's something you have to earn through genuine change, not desperation. Good. Diana handed her a coffee. Because that man deserves every miserable day he gets. Maybe. But I don't need to keep punishing him. Life's doing that just fine. Lily took the coffee gratefully. How's the Northridge project going? Ahead of schedule and under budget.
They're so happy they want to triple their contract for next quarter. Then we're doing exactly what Sterling Global never could.
Delivering on our promises. That evening, Lily picked up Emma from after-school care.
Her daughter bounced into the car, backpack flying.
Mommy, I got an A on my science project.
That's wonderful, sweetheart.
I'm so proud of you. Miss Roberts said I explain the water cycle better than anyone in class. She said I'm really smart. Lily glanced at her daughter in the rearview mirror. This beautiful, brilliant child had been the reason for everything.
The reason Lily survived.
The reason she fought.
The reason she refused to let Richard's cruelty define her. You are really smart, Lily said.
But you know what's more important than being smart?
What?
Being kind. Being honest. Treating people with respect even when you have power over them.
Emma nodded seriously.
Like you do at your job? Exactly like that. Because the most important thing I can teach you is that success means nothing if you have to hurt people to achieve it. Is that why you help Ms. Diana with her projects even though you're busy?
Yes, baby.
Because the people who helped me when I had nothing are the ones who deserve my success. Not the people who tried to keep me down. They drove home through Manhattan traffic, the city lights reflecting off rain-soaked streets.
Lily thought about where she'd been 5 years ago. Broken, terrified, convinced she'd never recover from what Richard had done.
She thought about where she was now. Successful, secure, raising her daughter in a world of opportunity instead of desperation. The best revenge hadn't been destroying Richard Sterling, though watching his empire collapse had been satisfying.
The best revenge had been proving that his cruelty couldn't break her.
That she could rise from the ashes of his destruction and build something better than anything he'd ever created.
3 years later, Lily stood on a stage at a women's leadership conference,
telling her story to an audience of 2,000 aspiring executives. When I was fired while 8 months pregnant, I thought my life was over. She said.
I thought the man who destroyed my career had won. But here's what I learned. People who succeed through cruelty are always building on sand. Eventually, the foundation collapses. The audience leaned forward, hanging on every word.
Your value isn't determined by people who can't see it. Your strength isn't diminished by people who try to break you. And your success isn't defined by getting revenge on those who hurt you. It's defined by building
something so magnificent that their betrayal becomes irrelevant. After the speech, dozens of women approached her with their own stories. Wrongful terminations, pregnancy discrimination, bosses who'd stolen their work. The wounds Richard had inflicted weren't unique. They were epidemic.
Lily started a consulting firm specifically for women rebuilding careers after discrimination.
She hired lawyers to take cases pro bono. She created a network of support that she wished had existed when she'd needed it most.
Richard Sterling became a cautionary tale.
A warning about what happens when ambition erases ethics. His name was mentioned in business school classes as an example of leadership failure. Veronica served her sentence and disappeared into obscurity.
And Lily Chen became the kind of leader she wished she'd had, demanding but fair, ambitious but ethical, successful without sacrificing her humanity.
Emma grew up watching her mother build an empire on integrity instead of cruelty.
She learned that strength meant protecting the vulnerable, not exploiting them. That success meant lifting others up, not pushing them down. The life Richard had tried to destroy became the foundation for something better than he could have imagined.
Years later, Lily would tell Emma the full story.
About Richard. About the cliff edge of poverty and fear.
About the climb back up. Did you ever forgive him? Emma asked. I stopped needing to, Lily answered. Forgiveness is for when you're still carrying the weight of what someone did. I put that weight down and walked away from it. What he did made me who I am, but it doesn't define me anymore. I'm glad he didn't break you. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. The truth is, betrayal doesn't define you. How you rise from it does.
Richard Sterling thought destroying Lily would eliminate competition. Instead, he created someone who understood that real power comes from building others up, not tearing them down. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been underestimated or thrown away, remember, the people who can't see your value today will be the ones reading about your success tomorrow.